There may not be another BYU quarterback with more come-from-behind victories than Brandon Doman. He can always make plays when we need them, Coach Lavelle Edwards said, and he was right. Now Brandon's trying to teach freshman Jake Heaps how to do the same, and we welcome Coach Doman to True Blue. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Do you like your job?
I love my job.
What's the best thing about it?
Best thing about it, I think 6 years into it now is working with the young men. I love it. I love being around them. I love the responsibility to lead these guys. And then you couple that with this place, BYU. I don't know that I could find a better job.
How relieved was your quarterback after the victory against San Diego State?
I think we were all pretty relieved. But for a young guy to have a victory and his first victory as a starter, I think took a lot of weight off his shoulders.
It's fun to watch you coach him because after a 3-and-out, he's to the sideline. You're the first guy into his helmet. Now let's say I'm Jake. I just went 3-and-out. I'm running over to you. What are you telling me?
Well, there's a lot of things going on. Usually it's patience. A lot of times when we see him miss a throw, it's just because he's hurrying it. Good quarterbacking is timing, decision-making, and accuracy. And if the timing's off, it's really hard to make the right decision. And so when you get those first two components to it, you're usually an accurate passer because you're a confident passer. So timing, decision-making, accuracy, and I think as we're seeing Jake right now, he's still working the kinks out of being a good, timing passer and then making the right decisions.
Skill-wise, he comes to you ranked #1 in quarterbacks in high school. And so you get this raw guy, and he was in high school last fall, and you've got him out on the field. What's your way of working with him? How do you get to this young guy to try and help him act older than he is?
Well, I try to use as much help as I can. And this school is a quarterback factory, and so I don't try and do it all by myself. I lean on some of the greats of the past. We've had some of those guys in our room. John Beck and Max Hall, guys that I've coached, have played an integral role here as well in calling him and supporting him. Riley Nelson with an injury right now has been fantastic as well. He supports him and helps him. And I think as much greatness that I can surround him with and the right type of knowledge that I can surround him with, he'll eventually become great.
Down on the sideline, you feel the stress of the 65,000. You can hear the unhappiness with whether or not a receiver drops the ball or there's a bad pass. And here comes this 18-year-old kid after every possession. What kind of pressure's on you to just get him through 4 quarters?
Well, it's just that. Playing this position, you cannot make the plays for your teammates. You cannot make the run for the running back. You cannot make the block. You can't catch the ball for your guys. And so all we can do is make the right decision, throw it on time. And at BYU in the last 5 years, those guys have been pretty darn accurate if those two things have happened. And so we go off on the field and we try and figure out why weren't we on time? Why did we make the wrong decision? What happened? And then I don't let the guys make the same mistake twice. And I don't know that in the game, if you went back and watched a play over again, say we repeated a mistake that he had done in a game, I don't think he's made the same mistake twice. And over time, he's going to be able to apply all this volume of knowledge and become a wise quarterback. And that's happening before our eyes.
He could get a big education Saturday at TCU against one of the best defenses in the country. As you send him out for that first possession there in Fort Worth, what will be the last few words of advice for him?
Have fun.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Can you have fun doing that?
No question. This game it's not worth playing or coaching if you're not having fun. Playing against TCU, #5 in the country right now, they're doing a fantastic job. Our guys are hungry. We know who they are. We've played them a bunch of times, and he needs to go enjoy this game. If he doesn't enjoy it, it'll be a miserable Saturday.
One thing I noticed about your career is you seem to always be having a good time. And you've carried that into coaching. The last 5 years you had Max Hall and John Beck, which probably made the life of the quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator just a little bit easier when you had another coordinator out there on the field. So even for you guys, this is a complete shift of gear, isn't it? Well,
he's not ready. Coach Edwards made a comment to me a couple of weeks ago. It's too bad you had to play that guy before he was ready. Jake believes he's ready, and that's why he's a good player. That's why he's going to be good, because he believes he's a good player. But you know, quite frankly, he's not ready for everything that's being thrown at him, and our job now is to get him ready and give as many looks as we possibly can give him simple successes along the way, so that in those critical, chaotic moments, he'll have great success. And we're seeing glimpses of success in those moments, but right now I would say that we're having less success in chaos than we are successful moments in chaos, and hopefully over time we'll be really good in those situations.
You think back at your career at BYU, they didn't give you the ball when you were a freshman or a sophomore or most of your junior year. But in the New Mexico game, it's Lavelle's last home game. The team is 4-6, hasn't played particularly well. You get the start. President Hinckley's up in the press box, and this is Lavelle's last game in his own stadium. How did you kind of process all that and go out and play as well as you did?
I was a junior.
Yeah.
You know, that was almost 3 full seasons of football. I had seen about everything you could imagine seeing at that point. I'd watched several quarterbacks play. I'd been coming to BYU football games from the beginning of time, and so I felt ready. And I believe when preparation meets opportunity, it equals success. And I'm sure there were some things that I could have done a little better in preparation, but I felt really prepared. And so I wanted to go have fun and play, and the coaches did a fantastic job utilizing my talents and the things that I did well. Completely changed the face of BYU offense while I was in there playing, and we were able to have success. And just like I told Max Hall 2 nights ago, you don't have to make the plays. You got plenty of guys who can go make plays. Let them make the plays. And I had good players around me too, and getting the ball in Luke Staley's hands and some of those guys. I mean, that was pretty easy to let those guys go make the plays.
How difficult was it to wait? Because even when you went into the New Mexico game, it was like, we do not want to play Doman. And then it's like, all right, let's just give him a shot. What do we got to lose? And all this time, you're ready to just go, just give me the ball.
You know, it was funny. I look back at that. I'm not so sure we had a backup quarterback. The other 2 guys had been injured, and I was the 3rd-string guy. And, man, it was quite an experience, I'm sure, for those coaches, because they really just didn't have anybody else to play. So here I was going into this game, I think, reluctant from the coaches. A ton of uncertainty of whether or not this guy can go out there and throw balls around. And I'd probably was a little bit ignorant myself, thinking that I could do anything and everything. And I had told those coaches several times, hey, you got to be playing. Why aren't you playing me? So I had fought pretty hard just for the opportunity to play. And gosh, it was quite an experience to be in that game for Lavelle Edwards in the last home game ever in the stadium. They renamed it after him. Like you said, President Hinckley was there. I look back at that, and not very many people got that opportunity, and I'm forever grateful for that chance.
Now, that was just the start. So all the hype and hoopla wraps up with Lavelle's last home game. And then you go up to Salt Lake. And even there, they're still like, well, you know, he did okay against New Mexico. All right, it's the last game of the year. Let's go. Let's go up there and play the Utes. So you get the start against Utah. Now, on the line is 1, it's Utah. 2, it's in Salt Lake where you grew up. And 3, it's a chance to avoid a losing season in Lavelle's last stand. And then they give you the football. And it wasn't an easy game. What were your emotions running out on that night?
I was probably 1 game a year that I hate coaching because I wish I was playing. Yeah. That's the only reason I would say that, is because I'd much rather be on the field than that game. I grew up watching this rivalry for forever. I love being a participant in that. There wasn't a game that I enjoyed playing in more than that game. And so when I look at that game and the experience that I had in my first start against them in that last game, man, it was something I had been wanting to do for a long time. And it was all guts and glory in that game. And most of football is guts and glory. And I think that we were able to pull it out at the end.
Well, it didn't go so well, but this was really your defining moment, I thought, because it launched you into a career that took you to the NFL and then brought you back as a coach here. But you're down, I think it's 4th and 19. You're on your 13-yard line, and there's just a couple minutes left in the game, and you hook up with Jonathan Pittman on 2 passes that all of a sudden changed your life. You might not have realized that at the time, but looking back, as you're scrambling looking for him and you chuck it up there, isn't it interesting how he catches those and suddenly your life starts to change?
My life took an entirely different course. There's no way in the world without that moment that I would be where I am. I just don't know that that could be the case. And I look at that University of Utah game, what happened, how we came back from behind, the couple miracles I believe that we witnessed in that moment, because a couple things happened that really were out of my control. I threw one up just as a Hail Mary throw to Jonathan, and he caught it. And there were 3 or 4 defenders around. The next play I threw it to him again, and I had no intention of throwing that ball. I was going to throw an out route to the field to a guy named Ben Horton, and I dropped back to throw it to Ben, and I threw it that way. I still to this day don't know why in the world I threw that ball.
I don't know, but it went 34 yards.
He caught it, and next thing I know, we're scoring a touchdown and winning the game. So, look, I believe that, you know, there's destiny in our life. I believe there's paths that converge, and I was fortunate enough to be able to go down this path, and football's been a huge part of my life ever since, and BYU's been a huge part of my life ever since. So, like I said again, I feel really grateful for these opportunities.
You win that game. Ron McBride still can't believe it. Lavelle gets to leave 6-6, beating the Utes in his last game. It couldn't have been more of a storybook ending for such a legendary coach. You get a new coach, Gary Croton, who likes the option, likes everything that you bring to the table. He's got 1 year with you. He comes in cold turkey from the Chicago Bears, and you guys start on a path that delivers one of the most exciting football seasons in BYU history. And you go down to the Utah game, and it's in Provo this time, but you're behind by a couple of scores late in the game, and you and Luke Staley get together, and another comeback. This is a little different than the year before, because now everyone knows what you can do. Team's ranked high, team's undefeated, you're thinking BCS, and you still got a claw back against the Utes. What one was that? What was that one like for you?
That was discouraging, because we were a good football team. Man, they played good. Utah had a great game plan. They always do against BYU. They had good players, and they were doing a great job. And we had made some mistakes. We weren't making the plays that we usually made. And we were in a dogfight. But, man, I don't know that BYU's ever out of a game. We certainly have positioned ourselves this year in a couple cases like that. But our players have to always believe. It doesn't matter what the score is or what the situation is. There is never a game that's out of reach. And we believe that. And whether it was because we had a track record or we had had a past that had taught us that lesson, probably the case. Us players figured that there was no way that game was out of reach. But, 2 touchdowns in a fourth quarter, that's not out of reach. All we had to do was make a couple big plays, and Reno Mahe made a couple of them, and then Luke Staley. All I had to do, like I said again, is put it in their hands and at the right time in the right place, and then let those guys make those plays, and they made them. Funny story, I think you guys would enjoy. I was in the 49er locker room as a player, and Ron McBride was a linebacker coach for University of Kentucky. He came to do a professional visit to the 49ers. I was visiting with him and some 49er coaches in the locker room after that. And, after playing against him twice in comeback style, he made a comment to the coach. He says, this guy, Brandon Doman, he made me think for just a minute that maybe God was Mormon. I thought that was a pretty funny comment, because he felt like all the odds just fell down on him in those instances. But I thought that was pretty funny. I have great respect for him, and we were able to pull some things out of the air that you usually don't see happen.
Well, you had a big win, come from behind against UNLV. New Mexico, when you didn't have Luke Staley, and a lot of it seemed to ride on your shoulders. And if you look at the numbers, you are 14-0 as a BYU starter without a separated shoulder. When you were healthy, you never lost.
It was hard to get hurt. It was hard to face those, some of those challenges. But gosh, it was a great time of life. I look back at that, and the guys that I got to play football with, the friendships that I made, and the coaches that I got to know, and forever be grateful for that opportunity.
How many Domans are there?
A ton.
How many have played at BYU?
Well, you've had, I've had uncles play here. Us brothers, there's been 4 Doman brothers in my family. I've had a couple cousins, so I would say 7 to 10 of us have probably played here. And then there's a million. Between me and my brothers, we have a bunch of little boys.
Do they all run the option? Are they home running the option in Pee Wee League?
They're pretty good players. So hopefully I'll get to coach those guys someday. Hopefully they're down here, and I'm still coaching down here, and we can see them play someday down here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on staff.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
good
it.
luck with TCU on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Quarterback coach Brandon Doman.